The Gili Islands look like they've been plucked out of a dream. White sand beaches with turquoise waters that are this calm even during a high tide. Each of the three islands is cuter than the other. And to make things interesting, none of them allow motorized vehicles, which makes it feel like you've gone back in time. So how was the vegan scene in this truly magical place? Let's find out. We arrived at Gili Islands after a long speedboat ride from Sanur Harbour in Bali. The waters looked stunning. The hotel was just a 5-minute walk away, so we checked in and our first meal was at Firda Warung. The tofu and tempeh rendang was good, but not great. It was tasty, but there wasn't enough gravy and it wasn't served piping hot. But the spring rolls did come piping hot. The filling was tasty and it was perfectly fried. Vidhi and my mom loved this. Next up were the fried noodles. It was served with an egg, but that was an honest mistake. But besides that, it wasn't very tasty and a bit cold as well. And finally, we got the pizza vegana. The bread was nice, the sauce was tasty, and all the toppings were perfectly seasoned. The tofu cheese worked out really well too. We really enjoyed it. Overall, it was a hit and miss sort of meal. We loved a couple of things, but a couple of other things were very disappointing. In the evening, we took a 10-minute walk to the western part of the island to catch the sunset. For dinner, we were off to Jujus, which is one of the two 100% vegan restaurants on Gili Islands. The potato rushti, a potato pancake, was really tasty. It was served with a cucumber salad and chilies on top. Next up was the mushroom bao, which was the best of the lot. The umami-packed hoisin mushroom was perfectly balanced by the fresh greens and chilies. In fact, all their baos looked and sounded really good. And finally, we got a Mexican bowl. The patties were delicious and the combination with the salad was great. But the salad itself didn't come with a dressing, so the dish felt very flat. Earlier, we had ordered these delicious peanuts with fried chilies, garlic and lemongrass, which we then used to season the salad. The food was tasty and creative, but the desserts were not. We got a cheesecake and it was served frozen, directly from the freezer with instructions to wait a few minutes before trying anything. For a cafe serving up such lovely food, this was very surprising. But nobody was surprised that the cheesecake didn't taste very good. Overall, we enjoyed our meal here, but I hope they figure out the dessert scene. Next morning, we cycled to Pituq, the other 100% vegan restaurant. Gili Islands is a tiny island where motorized vehicles are not allowed. So going from place to place on a cycle felt like a blast from the past. Or was it a vision into the future? We plan to cover the urban design of the Gili Islands in a future video, so stay tuned. But just look at how gorgeous this looks. We started with an iced cappuccino and it was just okay. Vidhi loved this mango cardo salad. It was light and refreshing and very well balanced. And I loved this tofu Florentine. It was layers of tofu, eggplant and salad on gluten-free bread. The star of the show was the cashew mustard sauce on top. We also got a nice warm flatbread that was served with a chili garlic oil. Everything was tasty and we felt sad that we couldn't return here to try out their mains, which all seemed very nice. We were then off to Gili Trawangan. We took a public fast boat and it was a smooth 10-minute journey. We then took a 10-minute walk to the hotel. We just loved the vibe on these streets. When you stop designing for the car, you start designing for human beings. And just look at how playful and vibrant these streets can feel. We skipped lunch because of the heavy breakfast. And because we could see just how much fun everyone was having in the sea, we decided to go there immediately. And it was so much fun. For dinner, we were off to Jali, a Pan-Asian restaurant that's part of the Jali resort. And this was my favorite meal on the Gili Islands. Jali is not vegan, but they have a clearly marked vegan section. This salad had so many elements. Spring rolls, fried tempeh, vermicelli, pickled cucumbers, a sweet and sour vinaigrette, and it all came together really well. The Penang curry was the star of the show. It felt like a cross between a Thai and a Malaysian curry, and we all really loved it. It was spicy but balanced out beautifully with a deep, savory, and sweet quality. The penyet was not what we were expecting. The red sauce felt more like a pasta sauce than a curry, but it was tasty. Next morning, we were off snorkeling, and it was glorious. The highlights were this iconic underground art installation near Gili Meno, swimming with these beautiful turtles, the coral reef, and my favorite part was the schools of beautiful fish. The graceful movements, the harmony and flow. It was a reminder of how crazy it is that we have been convinced into eating these guys. For lunch, we were off to the Banyan Tree, the most popular vegetarian restaurant on Gili Tea. The jackfruit sandwich looked good, but it was just okay. The filling was boring, but the peanut sauce on the side was delicious. These summer rolls looked gorgeous, but the dipping sauce wasn't tasty. The sauce needs to be salty and intense because most or all of the fillings are completely unseasoned. We added some peanut sauce, and in the end it worked out quite well. The stir fry and rice bowl was the best item there. It was fresh and tasty and very well seasoned. The tiramisu was really nice. Again, it felt like all the food was a little bland or the chefs were just holding back with the good stuff. So in that sense, the flavorings could have been stronger, but it was still very nice. We enjoyed this meal, but we had to season most of the food using the peanut sauce or the chili sauce. With many of these cafes, you must be prepared to get creative and re-season your food. We talk about this and much more on our video on how to travel the world as a vegan. For dinner, we were off to Coffee and Thyme, a cozy cafe with quite a few marked vegan options. We started with the scrambled plate and it was quite disappointing. Everything was under-seasoned and under-salted. The bolognese pasta was very well reviewed and it was good, but not great. The pesto salad bowl was very bland as well. The cakes were all vegan and again very well reviewed. We got the vanilla citrus one and it was moist and soft, but it was still quite dense and a bit oily. Overall, this was not a great meal, but with some salt, pepper and chili sauce, we made it work. We got in a lot of veggies and it was nourishing in its own way. After dinner, we got some plant-based gelato at Plant-Based Gelato. We got a scoop each of Nutella and brownie and they were both very good. And both scoops with waffle cones cost a total of just $3. Really great value. On our final morning, we got brunch at Carpe Diem, which was right next door to our hotel. My mom got a pineapple juice and Vidhi got an iced cappuccino. Both drinks were very good. They have just one marked vegan option, so that's what we got. The sauteed veggies were tasty, the beans were dependably good, the scrambled potatoes and tomatoes were all well seasoned. We enjoyed this plate much more than the similar one we got at Coffee and Thyme the previous night. We got some veggies for the table and these were super good. Homemade veggies with the skin on and a delicious spice mix, you can't go wrong. We also got the fruit platter and as usual, the fruits in Indonesia are super nice. This was a good meal before our very long and very tiring fast boat ride back to Sanur Harbour. We boarded at 2 o'clock and we reached at 6, so we were in the boat for more than 4 hours. We learned later that there was a shorter direct fast boat to Padang Bai Harbour in Bali, so we'd suggest doing some research. Our tip would be to minimize the time spent in the boat because it can get quite hot and humid and a little bit scary when the waters are choppy. We loved that there were no motorized vehicles on these islands, but the use of horse carts is not vegan. We believe that it is a cruel practice and it should be stopped on moral grounds. Bite-Sized Vegan has a fantastic video on why that is so. Considering how tiny these islands are, we got plenty of options. Most meals were okay, but some meals were actually really good. The important part is that we were never worried about it. and we were always a 5 or 10 minute walk away from feeding ourselves. So if you're planning a trip to the Gili Islands, it's time to get really excited.